If you're over 70 and struggling to maintain your strength, despite trying every expensive supplement on the market, what I'm about to share could completely change your approach to staying strong and independent. I recently had a patient who spent over $300 a month on muscle-building supplements, only to discover that a simple, affordable food sitting in her refrigerator was far more effective. What happened next surprised even me. I'm Dr. Emily Hartman, and I've spent over 20 years specializing in geriatric medicine and age-related muscle loss. Throughout my career, I've worked with thousands of older adults who desperately wanted to maintain their strength, independence, and quality of life. What I've learned might challenge everything the supplement industry has told you. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I strongly recommend hitting that subscribe button and turning on notifications so you never miss another health tip designed specifically for you. If you find this video helpful, please leave your questions and video suggestions in the comments below. I read every single one, and your feedback helps me create content that truly serves your needs. Let me tell you about Mrs. Margaret Chen, a 73-year-old retired teacher from Portland who came to my clinic last spring. Margaret had always been active, teaching dance classes well into her 60s, but over the past 3 years, she noticed something deeply troubling. Simple tasks like carrying groceries, getting up from her favorite chair, or even holding her grandchildren were becoming increasingly difficult. She described feeling like her body was betraying her, and the fear in her eyes was heartbreaking. Margaret had spent thousands on protein powders, amino acid supplements, and various muscle-building formulas she saw advertised online. Despite her investment and dedication, she continued losing strength month after month. When I ran her blood work and evaluated her diet, I discovered something that changed everything. The truth is, after 70, your body goes through significant changes in how it processes and utilizes protein. This phenomenon, called anabolic resistance, means your muscles become less responsive to the protein you consume. Your body needs more protein than it did in your younger years, but not just any protein. The quality, timing, and combination of nutrients matter tremendously. This is where most people, and unfortunately many supplement companies, get it completely wrong. Let me explain what happens inside your body. As we age, our muscle cells become less sensitive to the signals that trigger muscle protein synthesis, the process that builds and repairs muscle tissue. Additionally, older adults often experience decreased appetite, dental issues, and digestive changes that reduce overall protein intake. The supplement industry recognized this problem and created a billion-dollar market around it. However, they overlooked something fundamental that science has known for years. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The food I'm talking about is eggs. Whole eggs. Not egg whites, not egg protein powder, but complete eggs with the yolk intact. Before you think this is too simple or that you've heard it before, let me share why this matters specifically for muscle building after 70, and why the way you consume them makes all the difference. Eggs contain the highest quality protein available in any whole food, with a biological value of 100, meaning your body can utilize virtually all the protein they provide. But that's just the beginning. The yolk, which many people discard fearing cholesterol, contains leucine, the most critical amino acid for triggering muscle protein synthesis in older adults. Each egg provides approximately 6 grams of complete protein with all 9 essential amino acids in optimal ratios. However, what makes eggs particularly powerful for older adults is something called the protein matrix effect. Let me introduce you to Mr. Robert Santos, an 81-year-old retired construction worker from San Diego. Robert came to me after a fall that resulted in a hip fracture. His recovery was complicated by severe muscle weakness that developed during his hospital stay. His daughter, Maria, was terrified that her father would never regain his independence. Robert had always been a proud, self-sufficient man who built his own home with his bare hands. Seeing him struggle to stand without assistance was devastating for the entire family. During his rehabilitation, Robert's physical therapist recommended expensive branched-chain amino acid supplements and specialized protein powders. They helped somewhat, but progress was frustratingly slow, and the costs were adding up quickly. When Robert transferred to my care, I suggested a different approach. Instead of supplements, I recommended he eat 3 whole eggs every morning, prepared in a specific way I'll explain shortly. Robert was skeptical at first. He couldn't believe something so simple and affordable could outperform the expensive products he'd been using. Within 6 weeks, Robert's strength measurements improved significantly. His grip strength increased by 28%. His ability to rise from a chair improved dramatically, and most importantly, he regained the confidence to live independently. When I saw tears in his eyes during our follow-up appointment, he told me he'd just played with his great-grandson in the backyard for the first time in over a year. The science behind why eggs work so effectively for older adults involves several mechanisms. First, eggs contain approximately 2.7 grams of leucine per 3-egg serving. Leucine is the amino acid that acts like a key, unlocking the door to muscle protein synthesis. Research shows that older adults need approximately 3 grams of leucine per meal to maximally stimulate muscle building, a threshold that 3 eggs nearly reaches. Second, egg yolks contain choline, a nutrient critical for muscle function and nerve signaling. As we age, our choline needs increase, yet most older adults consume inadequate amounts. Third, eggs provide vitamin D, which plays a crucial role in muscle strength and function. Many older adults are vitamin D deficient, contributing to weakness and fall risk. But here's what most people miss, and this is crucial. The way you consume eggs matters enormously. Eating them alone or with just toast doesn't optimize their muscle-building potential. To maximize muscle protein synthesis, you need to combine eggs with a specific type of carbohydrate and consume them at the right time of day. This combination triggers an insulin response that enhances amino acid delivery to your muscles while preventing protein breakdown. Think of insulin as the delivery truck that carries amino acids to your muscle cells. Without adequate carbohydrate intake, that delivery system doesn't work efficiently, especially in older adults. If you're still watching and finding this information valuable, comment 1 below to show me you're following along and benefiting from this science-based approach to staying strong after 70. Let me share the story of Mrs. Patricia Williams, a 76-year-old retired nurse from Boston. Patricia had dedicated her life to caring for others, but when she came to my clinic, she was struggling to care for herself. Her muscle weakness had progressed to the point where she'd given up gardening, her greatest passion for over 40 years. The rose garden she'd cultivated since moving to her home in the 1980s had become overgrown because she no longer had the strength to maintain it. Her husband, James, tried to help, but he was dealing with his own health challenges. Patricia felt like she'd lost part of her identity, and depression was setting in. Patricia had tried various protein supplements recommended by well-meaning friends and even some healthcare providers. She drank protein shakes twice daily, took amino acid capsules, and used creatine supplements. Despite her diligence, her strength continued declining. Her food diary revealed something important. She was consuming adequate protein but eating it at the wrong times and without the necessary supporting nutrients. Patricia typically had coffee and toast for breakfast, skipping protein entirely during the critical morning window when her body was most responsive to muscle-building signals. I worked with Patricia to restructure her eating pattern. Each morning, she began eating 3 whole eggs scrambled with vegetables, alongside a serving of oatmeal with berries. Within 8 weeks, Patricia's transformation was remarkable. Her grip strength improved enough that she could use her pruning shears again. She started spending 30 minutes in her garden each morning, gradually rebuilding both her strength and her spirit. When she brought me photos of her rejuvenated rose garden 6 months later, along with fresh-cut flowers from her own yard, I saw the woman she'd been before muscle loss stole her joy. Now, let me explain the optimal way to use eggs for muscle building after 70. Timing is critical. Your muscles are most responsive to protein in the morning after the overnight fast. During sleep, your body enters a mild catabolic state, breaking down muscle tissue. The first meal of the day is your opportunity to reverse this process and trigger muscle protein synthesis. Consuming 3 whole eggs within 90 minutes of waking provides the leucine threshold needed to activate muscle building in older adults. But remember, eggs alone aren't enough. Pairing eggs with a moderate amount of complex carbohydrates amplifies their muscle-building effects. The carbohydrates stimulate insulin release, which has 2 critical functions. It enhances amino acid transport into muscle cells and suppresses muscle protein breakdown. Aim for approximately 30 to 40 grams of carbohydrates from sources like oatmeal, whole grain toast, or sweet potato. This combination creates an optimal anabolic environment that expensive supplements simply cannot replicate. The synergy between whole food nutrients is something isolated supplement compounds cannot achieve. Here's something else most people don't know. The way you cook eggs affects their protein quality and digestibility. Older adults often experience reduced stomach acid production and digestive enzyme activity, making protein digestion less efficient. Cooking eggs until the whites are firm but the yolks are still slightly soft maximizes protein digestibility while preserving heat-sensitive nutrients. Overcooking eggs, especially at high temperatures, can reduce protein quality and make them harder to digest. Scrambled eggs cooked gently over medium heat or soft-boiled eggs are ideal for older adults. Let me introduce you to Mr. David Kim, an 84-year-old retired engineer from Seattle. David's story demonstrates another critical aspect of muscle building that goes beyond just protein. David had always been meticulous and analytical, approaching his health with the same precision he applied to his engineering career. When he noticed muscle loss affecting his balance and increasing his fall risk, he researched extensively and began taking multiple supplements: whey protein isolate, branched-chain amino acids, creatine monohydrate, and beta-alanine. His monthly supplement bill exceeded $400, and his medicine cabinet looked like a small pharmacy. Despite his investment and dedication, David's functional abilities continued declining. He'd fallen twice in 6 months, once requiring emergency room treatment for a facial laceration. His wife, Susan, was considering moving to an assisted living facility because she feared for his safety. David felt like he was losing control of his life, and for someone who'd spent his career solving complex problems, the inability to solve this one was particularly frustrating. When David came to my practice, I ran comprehensive testing that revealed something surprising. His protein intake was actually excessive, over 120 grams daily, but distributed poorly throughout the day. He consumed most of his protein at dinner, when muscle protein synthesis is naturally less responsive. Additionally, his vitamin D level was severely deficient at 18 nanograms per milliliter, and his dietary fat intake was too low, affecting hormone production necessary for muscle maintenance. I redesigned David's nutrition strategy around whole foods, with emphasis on 3 eggs every morning, prepared with a teaspoon of olive oil to enhance fat-soluble vitamin absorption. We added a mid-morning snack of Greek yogurt and adjusted his dinner protein downward while increasing vegetables and complex carbohydrates. Within 3 months, David's strength assessments showed significant improvement. His walking speed increased, his balance scores normalized, and he hadn't experienced a single fall. When I saw him recently, he proudly told me he'd canceled his supplementation auto shipments and was saving over $300 monthly while feeling stronger than he had in 5 years. But if what I've shared so far has surprised you, wait until you hear about the mistake that sabotages muscle building for most older adults, even those consuming adequate protein. The mistake is eating protein in isolation without adequate energy intake. As we age, many people reduce their overall calorie consumption, sometimes intentionally to avoid weight gain, sometimes because appetite naturally decreases. However, when you don't consume enough total calories, your body uses dietary protein for energy rather than muscle building. This phenomenon, called the energy priority of protein, means that protein cannot fulfill its muscle-building function when total calorie intake is insufficient. Those expensive protein supplements are essentially being burned as fuel rather than building muscle. This is why eggs are particularly valuable. They provide not just high-quality protein but also healthy fats and various micronutrients in a calorie-dense package. 3 whole eggs provide approximately 215 calories, 72 from protein and the remainder from beneficial fats. This combination ensures that the protein can be used for muscle synthesis rather than energy production. When you consume egg whites alone or protein powders without adequate calories, you're missing this critical component. Let me share one more story that brings all these principles together. Mrs. Helen Rodriguez, a 79-year-old retired librarian from Miami, came to me after her daughter noticed significant changes during a holiday visit. Helen had always been the family matriarch, hosting large gatherings and staying active in her community. But over the past year, she'd withdrawn socially, stopped attending her book club, and spent most days sitting in her apartment. Her daughter discovered that Helen was afraid to go out because she'd fallen twice and no longer trusted her body. Helen had been following advice from a popular fitness influencer targeting older adults. She was consuming expensive plant-based protein powders, taking numerous supplements, and eating a very low-fat diet. Despite investing heavily in these products and following the recommendations precisely, Helen continued losing strength and confidence. When I reviewed her typical daily intake, I found she was consuming adequate protein grams on paper, but missing the leucine threshold at each meal, consuming insufficient overall calories, and severely limiting dietary fat. We completely restructured Helen's approach. Each morning, she began eating 3 whole eggs with cheese, alongside whole grain toast with butter and a small orange. Mid-morning, she had Greek yogurt with nuts. Lunch and dinner included adequate protein with plenty of vegetables and healthy fats. We stopped all supplements except vitamin D after testing confirmed deficiency. The transformation over 4 months was extraordinary. Helen's strength improved enough that she rejoined her book club. She started volunteering at the library again, organizing reading programs for children. Her daughter called me in tears of gratitude, saying she had her mother back. The key insight from Helen's experience is that muscle building after 70 requires a comprehensive nutritional approach, not isolated nutrients in supplement form. Whole eggs provide this comprehensive nutrition in a simple, affordable package that humans have consumed successfully for thousands of years. The protein, fats, vitamins, minerals, and bioactive compounds in eggs work synergistically in ways that isolated supplements cannot replicate. Your body recognizes whole foods and processes them efficiently through evolutionary adaptation. Now, I want to address concerns about cholesterol because I know many older adults avoid eggs due to outdated dietary advice. For decades, health authorities recommended limiting egg consumption because of cholesterol content. However, extensive research over the past 20 years has fundamentally changed our understanding. For most people, dietary cholesterol has minimal impact on blood cholesterol levels. Your liver produces approximately 80% of blood cholesterol, adjusting production based on dietary intake. When you eat more cholesterol, your liver produces less. When you eat less cholesterol, your liver produces more. Multiple large studies following hundreds of thousands of people for many years have found no association between moderate egg consumption, up to 1 egg daily, and increased heart disease risk in healthy individuals. In fact, eggs may improve cholesterol profiles by increasing HDL, the beneficial cholesterol, and changing LDL particles to a larger, less harmful type. For older adults struggling with muscle loss, the muscle-building benefits of eggs far outweigh any theoretical cholesterol concerns for most people. Of course, individuals with specific conditions like familial hypercholesterolemia should discuss egg consumption with their healthcare provider. Here's a practical framework for using eggs to build muscle after 70. First, consume 3 whole eggs within 90 minutes of waking, paired with 30 to 40 grams of complex carbohydrates and a serving of vegetables or fruit. This provides the leucine threshold, adequate calories, and nutrient diversity to optimize muscle protein synthesis. Second, ensure you're eating adequate total calories throughout the day. Undereating sabotages muscle building regardless of protein intake. Third, include protein at each meal, but don't obsess over huge quantities. Research suggests older adults benefit from approximately 30 to 40 grams of high-quality protein per meal, distributed evenly across 3 meals. Fourth, engage in resistance training appropriate for your fitness level. Nutrition provides the building blocks, but physical activity provides the stimulus that signals your body to build muscle. Even simple bodyweight exercises, resistance bands, or light weights 2 to 3 times weekly can dramatically enhance the muscle-building effects of proper nutrition. Fifth, ensure adequate vitamin D status through testing and supplementation if needed. Vitamin D deficiency directly impairs muscle function and strength. Finally, be patient and consistent. Rebuilding muscle after 70 takes time, typically 3 to 6 months to see significant functional improvements. The older adults I've worked with who achieved the best results were those who maintained consistent nutrition and activity habits over months, not those who jumped between different supplements and programs. Let me address cost, because this matters tremendously for older adults on fixed incomes. A dozen eggs costs approximately $3 to $4 in most areas, providing 4 days of optimal breakfast protein at under $1 daily. Compare this to protein supplements that typically cost $2 to $5 per serving, or specialty amino acid formulas costing even more. Over a month, eggs cost approximately $30 compared to $60 to $150 for comparable supplement-based approaches. Over a year, that's a savings of $400 to $1,400, money that could be spent on other health priorities, activities you enjoy, or time with family. The simplicity matters too. Cooking eggs takes minutes, requires minimal equipment, and provides satisfaction that drinking a protein shake cannot match. Food is not just fuel, it's pleasure, tradition, and social connection. Sharing a proper breakfast brings joy that supplement consumption does not. For older adults who may be experiencing reduced quality of life, these aspects matter enormously. I want to be clear about what eggs alone cannot do. They cannot replace comprehensive medical care, treat disease, or substitute for appropriate treatment of underlying conditions contributing to muscle loss. Conditions like diabetes, thyroid disorders, chronic inflammation, and certain medications can accelerate muscle loss and require medical management. Eggs are a powerful nutritional tool, but they work best as part of a comprehensive approach to healthy aging that includes appropriate medical care, physical activity, social engagement, and attention to mental health. Additionally, some individuals should modify this approach. People with egg allergies obviously need alternative protein sources. Those with certain digestive conditions may need to adjust preparation methods or portion sizes. Individuals taking certain medications should discuss potential interactions with their healthcare provider. This is why I always recommend working with your personal physician or a registered dietitian when making significant dietary changes, especially if you have existing health conditions or take multiple medications. So what should you do with this information? Starting tomorrow morning, I encourage you to begin your day with 3 whole eggs, prepared in a way you enjoy, alongside a serving of whole grains and vegetables or fruit. Do this consistently for 8 weeks while maintaining or gradually increasing your physical activity level. Pay attention to how you feel, your energy levels, and your functional abilities. Can you carry groceries more easily? Do you get up from chairs with less effort? Are you feeling more confident in your balance and stability? These functional improvements matter far more than abstract measurements. Document your progress in a simple journal. Note what you eat, how you move, and how you feel. This creates accountability and helps you identify what works best for your body. If you're currently taking expensive supplements, discuss with your healthcare provider whether you can gradually reduce or eliminate them as you implement this whole food approach. The money you save can be invested in fresh, high-quality eggs and other nutritious whole foods. Remember, muscle loss is not an inevitable part of aging. Yes, we all experience some degree of muscle decline as we get older, but the rate and extent of that decline depends enormously on our nutrition, activity, and lifestyle choices. I've seen 70-year-olds with the muscle function of 50-year-olds, and I've seen 50-year-olds with the muscle function of 70-year-olds. The difference is not primarily genetics, it's daily choices compounded over time. The patients I shared with you today, Margaret, Robert, Patricia, David, and Helen, all have something in common beyond their success with this approach. They made a decision to stop searching for complex solutions and expensive supplements and instead focus on consistent, simple, evidence-based nutrition. They chose whole foods over processed supplements, patience over quick fixes, and long-term health over short-term marketing promises. Most importantly, they didn't give up when progress seemed slow or when supplements failed to deliver promised results. Building and maintaining muscle after 70 is absolutely possible, but it requires the right approach. Stop wasting money on expensive supplements that promise miraculous results. Start investing in whole, nutritious foods that your body recognizes and can use efficiently. 3 whole eggs every morning, prepared thoughtfully and eaten consistently, provide more muscle-building power than bottles of expensive powders and pills. This simple food has nourished humans for thousands of years, and it can help you maintain the strength and independence you need to live the life you want, regardless of your age. Your body is remarkably adaptable, even in your 70s, 80s, and beyond. Given the right nutrition, appropriate physical stimulus, and sufficient time, your muscles can respond, rebuild, and regain function. It won't happen overnight, and it won't be easy, but it is possible. The question is not whether you can maintain or rebuild strength as you age. The question is whether you're willing to make the consistent choices necessary to achieve that goal. I want to leave you with this thought. Independence, strength, and quality of life in your later years are not luxuries or lucky accidents. They are outcomes that result from daily decisions about nutrition, movement, and self-care. Every morning when you choose to eat 3 whole eggs instead of skipping breakfast or relying on supplements, you're making a deposit in your strength account. Every time you move your body intentionally, you're signaling your muscles to maintain and grow. These daily deposits compound over weeks and months into functional abilities that determine whether you'll spend your later years doing the things you love or struggling with basic activities. The older adults I admire most are not those who avoided aging or muscle loss entirely. They are those who approached the challenge thoughtfully, made consistent choices aligned with evidence, and refused to accept loss of function as inevitable. They garden, play with grandchildren, travel, volunteer, and pursue hobbies well into their 80s and beyond. What separates them from those who struggle is not genetics or luck. It's knowledge and daily choices. You now have the knowledge. The question is what you'll do with it. Will you continue searching for the next expensive supplement promising miraculous results? Or will you embrace the simple, affordable, evidence-based approach that has worked for countless others? The choice is yours, but I hope you'll give eggs a chance. Your future self, gardening, playing with grandchildren, or simply living independently and confidently, will thank you for the decision you make today. If you found this information valuable and want to take control of your muscle health and independence as you age, please share this video with friends or family members who might benefit. Leave a comment below sharing your biggest takeaway or any questions you have. I read every comment and often create follow-up content based on your questions and feedback. And of course, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future videos where I'll share more evidence-based strategies for healthy aging that don't require expensive supplements or complicated protocols. Remember, the most powerful medicine is often the simplest. Sometimes the answers we're searching for are not found in expensive bottles with impressive labels, but in whole, natural foods that humans have thrived on for generations. 3 eggs might seem too simple to be the solution you've been looking for, but I've seen it work too many times to doubt its power. Give it 8 weeks of consistency, and I believe you'll be surprised by what your body can achieve, regardless of your age. Now I want to hear from you. Are you ready to stop wasting money on expensive supplements and start using affordable whole foods to build the strength and independence you deserve? Comment below and let me know. And most importantly, please consult with your personal physician before making significant dietary changes, especially if you have existing health conditions or take medications. This information is educational and not a substitute for personalized medical advice from a healthcare provider who knows your individual situation. Take care of yourselves, invest in whole foods, stay consistent with your choices, and never accept muscle loss as an inevitable part of aging. Your strength and independence are worth fighting for, and you have more power to influence your outcome than you might think. Until next time, this is Dr. Emily Hartman reminding you that the best investment in your future health starts with the choices you make today.